welcome to Seen Through Glass, and welcome to a beautiful Ferrari 365 Berlinetta Boxer. Now, a few of you have been asking, since I've announced that I'm now going to be buying a Ferrari 360, what's happened to my idea of buying a classic car? Well, it has not gone away, and I thought whilst here in Vlogari, why not check out some classic Ferraris and update you guys on my plans to buy a classic car. Now, I was very kindly invited to check out the 365BB by Filippo and his fantastically Italian father, Carlo. But when I arrived, it turned out this wasn't the only car they had in store for me. Whilst Carlo has a handful of amazing classic cars knocking around, today we would also be taking out the Ferrari 328 GTS. Two pretty different cars, both of which I was already drooling over. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Carlo. Thank you very much for taking me out today in your beautiful car.
Thank you, Sam.
I have learned very quickly that you are the man to speak to about classic Ferraris, if not all classic cars. Can you tell me a little bit about this particular car that we're in right now?
This particular car is the first 12 cylinders in the back. The engine is behind our shoulder. In the 60s they started with competition cars, but then Ferrari thought that for cars, for sportive cars, for people, for normal people, the engine in the front was enough. And then Lamborghini in 67 presented the Miura, which has a central engine in the back, and they look at the Ford GT40, sorry.
GT40, okay.
And so was really the first competition car transformed for roads.
Okay.
And this, for a little while, Ferrari didn't know what to do. But then very soon they understand that even for sports cars, for every weekend or every for pleasure, the engine had to be in the back. They used the engine of the Formula One of Jackie X, the B2.
Oh, so this is a Formula One. This is actually a Formula One engine.
Formula One engine, because the engine of the Daytona of the other Ferrari,
which was front engines,
which was in the front,
okay,
was not useful because with the V60 or 90 degrees, I don't remember, the engine was too high to put in the back.
Okay.
So they used the Formula One engine, who was a V180 degrees, so practically a boxer.
Because it's a lot more flat, right?
Very flat.
For good weight distribution.
Yeah, very, very flat for the weight and for the shape of the car. For the style also was easier to have a very low engine.
Okay.
And so they produced this 387 365 GT 4BB. Berlinetta Boxer,
and it was the first mid-engine Ferrari.
And in that moment was the faster Ferrari, and at that time it exists already a rear engine, which was the Dino, but the Dino was not a Ferrari, it was a 6 cylinders. So it's but if you wanted, the architecture was the same in fact.
I really hope you can follow everything Carlo is saying, because he's just such a passionate and interesting guy. Honestly, we spoke for hours in and around filming, but I could have listened to him for days. It felt as though there was nothing he didn't know about classic Ferraris. But to recap quickly, this 365 BB is a hugely important car. Aside from the Dino, which as Carlo delicately put was not a real Ferrari, basically because it didn't have a V12, this was the first time the company had made a mid-engine road car. The 512 BBI has perhaps become more recognisable, but that's probably because they built nearly twice as many, but they were less powerful, less raw cars, and Carlo actually used to own one but swapped it for the 365. Okay, so talk to me, where did your passion for Ferrari start in particular?
You see, as I was born in Turin and I grew up in Turin we had of course Fiat. Here we have just past Villarperosa, where Agnelli has where he comes from.
Okay.
They have still a very big villa, and then in design in Modena were most the engines. So I always liked cars since I was a very, very young boy, and I have the opportunity sometimes to Saturday and Sunday to go to be driven by Mr. Pininfarina with his son towards the golf club or the polo club, and many times he had a prototype or very, very new model to test. So was at the time was not so easy to see very beautiful car every day. Now you go in Milano, Monte Carlo, or München, or
supercars
London, you see supercars everywhere. At that time cars were small, slow, and just sometimes you had a very special car.
Okay.
It was really an emotion, probably more than today, to see one of these.
Amazing, this car. Do you love driving it? Do you love spending time in it?
It's very amazing because it's, first of all, it's difficult to drive, so you must be very calm, very responsible. First of all, because nowadays you can drive too fast on roads, but especially because you have no electronic at all, no ABS, nothing helps.
It's
the
just
driver,
you.
Just you, and I can't normally. I can't imagine on when it's raining, but I try not to drive it when it's raining, because there it became really, really dangerous and difficult. But even when it's very dry, you must be careful, because
it's still a handful.
I have a very old mechanic, very good, who did the Ferrari all his life in Turin, called Sergio Rossi. He's more or less 8 years old, and he says that the BB, you haven't to learn how to run it, how to drive it, you have to learn how to stop it.
Well, luckily we've come to a stop safely.
Yeah, because we were in a very normal range of speed.
Absolutely. Well, look, I thank you so much. It's been an amazing experience. I'm going to jump into the 328.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah.
But Carlo, I appreciate
Bye,
it.
Sam.
Goodbye. Thank you
very much.
Filippo, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very
Your
much.
dad is a
Sam.
nutter.
Yeah, he
But I
really is.
literally love him. I could talk to him all day about Ferraris and old cars.
Yeah.
But at some point I was like, hey, I probably need to go and move on from the infinitely cool 365 Berlinetta Boxer. So we are now in, this is the 328 GTS.
Correct.
Slightly more modern car. This is an 80s car, right? But a
85.
lot of the interior looks very similar.
Yeah, the gauges, the colors are really follow through.
We have seatbelts, which is great.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And no roof, so I can actually fit a little bit better.
Exactly.
Both of us can. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
Where do you sit? Are you a classics guy? Are you a supercars guy?
So growing up, I've always been a very sort of modern supercar guy, reading a lot about modern supercars, and more recently over the years, you know, understanding a bit better what classics actually mean, and through my dad's passion, I've been getting, you know, my interest for classic cars has definitely increased a lot.
Filippo and I had quite similar opinions on the car world, so I was really interested to discuss the 360 with him. Some of you guys have been saying that as 360s are over 15 years old now, it could be classed as a modern classic itself, but I think I still have a desire to own something older. For me, getting in these cars, 70s and 80s, is it's a whole different era. I mean, they are a lot more basic.
For sure.
Very few aids and things like that, and interior-wise.
I think this only has ABS.
Wow, and that's exactly it. It feels like a different driving experience, right?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I forgot that he has to go.
It's alright, he can.
Oh yeah, he'll pass us.
Yeah, exactly.
He has definitely enough power to overtake us.
Yeah, slightly more than what we're doing. But this is a bit more of a cruiser Ferrari, I think.
Yeah, so like, I mean, the thing that's always a bit weird with this car is even at 2,000 or 3,000 RPM, it sounds like you're at the limiter, but it goes up to nearly 8,000. So
it's not the best sounding Ferrari.
It's not the best sounding, and it sounds quite metallic. I think it's because of the exhaust of the time, like, you know. But yeah, it's definitely a nice car with the roof open, you know.
Absolutely.
The coupe is a bit.
That sounds good though.
It sounds good.
Because you get to hear it with the roof off, you get to hear it.
But I always say that, so I love the sort of technical engineering aspect of modern supercars and, you know, what they can achieve. But I love the story behind the classics. That's how I sort of summarize it.
That's exactly it. And being around someone like your dad, hearing, you know, where his passion comes from, why he loves them, it's a whole different element, I think, to cars.
For sure.
There's a sort of romanticism about it, slightly.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get carried away with all the history. But I agree, it feels like you're part of something a lot more than these modern cars.
Yeah. Especially the manual gearbox, like you would have in your 360 that you're looking for.
I am indeed. Whilst the 360 will definitely have older quirks, I would still like something from, I think, the sort of 70s, maybe early 80s period, but probably more 70s.
Yeah.
I think it's got more charm to it. Probably not a Ferrari.
No, I agree. Like Lamborghinis at the time did quite interesting cars as well.
Sure, like the Lamborghini Tractor we saw earlier.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I definitely see what you mean.
We've got a tunnel. Do you think your dad's going to give it some welly?
Probably.
Go on, Carlo.
We can't even hear this.
No, we're like in a Prius now.
Yeah, right.
So do you ever get to drive the 365?
So I drove it a couple of times on the highway.
Okay.
Switching with my dad, but you know, it's a lot more complicated to drive than this.
He was saying it's
clutch,
like a real
the
handful.
Steering. It's really, it's a bit like driving a truck in some cases as well.
Nice.
Even though it's very light, but the steering is just so heavy.
Sure.
And also, what scares me more is other people around you. You know, like it's a risk that I'd rather he takes rather than me. This is 10 times easier to drive.
This is your car. This one here. Yeah. It is cool. I definitely, for me personally, the Boxer is the one. I mean, like, amazing thing, raw, brutal. Feels very Ferrari.
For sure.
This feels like the sort of the 80s version of the California.
Exactly.
It's still got elements of Ferrari about it.
Exactly.
But it's not necessarily a true Ferrari.
For sure.
And there we have it, the two cars are now parked back up, and it's been another day that has been incredibly helpful for my ongoing hunt for a classic. As I say, it's not over. Just because I'm getting the 360 doesn't mean I've given up on this dream and this idea, but it's something that I'm spending a lot of time with because I want to sort of investigate, work out what I want, and today has helped push me sort of further towards the direction of something a little bit more racy, a little bit more sporty, a little bit more hardcore, rather than the cruiser type of classic. But these two exceptionally special cars have been awesome to hang around with. Huge thanks to Carlo and Filippo. I'll put Filippo's Instagram down below. You can go and give him a follow. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you have, and make sure to subscribe for plenty more videos to come.